Okay, well, I think we're live according to this. It says we're live. Let's check out the page. Let's see if we're
Yeah,
live. Can you see it?
I did not put it on yet, but at the top of my page, it says meeting is now streaming live on Facebook.
Woohoo!
Yay!
Yay, let's go check it out. Let's check that we are.
Yeah, wow.
There's live. Here we go. We're live. We are live. Woo!
Yes, I'm
Yay!
looking forward to this. This is
So,
going to be awesome.
oh,
Awesome.
me too. I'm so excited that you're here, Dorothy, for share with us today um, your history. Yeah, what a wonderful thing that you have done. Like you're sharing how you overcame a big challenge, really, that a lot of people face. And especially now it's even more, isn't it? Like there's so much that it's important right now that we get in the right headspace for that.
It actually is. What I found out is now going through COVID-19, so many people are having financial problems and trying to figure out what to do next and how to go about just reorganizing what they already have. We know that for a lot of us that have retired, um, our money basically comes from what was set aside for us. So it's invested. So with the COVID-19, all of the stocks and things like that began to take a nosedive. So it was just tragic. And so as I talked to a lot of people, a coaching friend asked me, did I know anything about organizing finances or how to go about helping people? And I was like, yeah, I do. I said, I remember when I didn't have a job and I was about $75,000 in debt. And I wasn't really sure what I was going to do. So over a period of time, I ended up running into, well, not running in, but I met someone that actually taught me about financial wellness and how to go about reorganizing and putting my finances together. So what I did was I went back and I organized what I already had, but I had to invest some more money. So now what I found out is I needed to get a credit card that was already almost maxed out and take it all the way to the limit and end up learning more and more and more about getting out of debt and being financially free.
Yeah, that's great, isn't it? And now, I mean, you're helping women to actually rock their financial challenges. Like you're actually helping people to overcome this great challenge that a lot of people face. Like it's a big thing, financial stress. And I mean,
Absolutely.
financial stress can ruin marriages. It can ruin families. It's such a big thing. So it's great. So what did you do? Like, so, I mean, I think there must have been like initially, there has to be a mindset shift, like, because all of a sudden you're in one place and you want
It
to be in
is.
another place. Like, what did
It
you
is.
do to change the shift, do the shift?
Well, one of the things that I did was, and I've kind of upgraded everything in my simple money management course that I have now, is that I went out and I bought Ziploc bags. So I had 12 Ziploc bags, one for each month, a 1 gallon Ziploc bags, and I wrote January to December on them. I had a 2 gallon Ziploc bag that I put all of those in. Then I had another little quart-sized Ziploc bag for my receipts. So I sat down at the kitchen table and I wrote on the first sheet all of the money that I was spending, every dime that I was spending. regardless of whether it was for coffee, for lunch, for bills. It didn't make a difference. I put it all down, the allowances that I was still giving, because my kids were in high school and in college. So even that money I began to. What I didn't realize was I really was spending a lot of money and I really had no idea, because I had never really sat down and just began to write it out. So on one side of the sheet of paper, I wrote down everything that I thought that I was spending money on. Then at the end of the month, after that bag was filled with all of the bills and the receipts and stuff like that, regardless of what it was, I turned the sheet of paper over and I began to write out all of the bills that I had gotten, the receipts that I had that were in the quart-sized Ziploc. And then I began to figure out how to readjust my finances. I knew I was spending too much money, but I just didn't know it in the beginning how to cut back on the spending.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great thing to do, what you just said, I think, because sometimes we think we have no discretionary income, like we don't realize that all the little bits, all the little bit of coffees that we might have, or the little bit of cake that you buy, or whatever, how it actually does add up at the end, and every little bit makes a massive difference, doesn't it?
It really does. Well, I realized that during the course of the day, because I was a coffee drinker, I would buy, at least while I was at work, at least 3 cups of coffee a day. I was buying lunch every day. Then later on, before I would get off work, I would have some sort of a snack or something like that that I was buying. So after about 2 months, then I stopped. What I did was I talked to my boss. We bought a coffee pot. We bought coffee and stuff like that, put it in the kitchen and stuff. And I started making my own lunches and stuff and bringing them to work and cutting back on the spending, because I was spending maybe like $20 a day almost sometimes. And that was $20 that I could have been putting aside. So one of the other things that I did was I didn't have any savings. So the mentor that I had told me, go to the credit union, open up a savings account, and have them to automatically start taking out, the job to automatically start taking out. So when I got to about $500, I went back to the credit union and I borrowed on that $500. But here's the thing, I didn't spend it. I opened up another account. I put that $500 in it, okay? So I'm paying back on the other $500 I borrowed from the credit union. When I finished paying them back, I had that $500. So now I had $1,000, okay? So now I went back and I borrowed on that $1,000. I got $1,000 and I put it into the account. Okay. And then I just started paying that back again. So by the time that was over with, okay, I had $2,000 in the bank. And that's how I began to build my savings up, borrowing what I already had and then just paying it back, but not actually spending it, So that it and I'm not going to tell anybody that it's easy. It's not easy. One of the main things you have to have is you have to have a story. You got to have a reason why. Why do you want to be debt? Why do you want to be financially free? Now, being debt free and financial and having financial freedom, those are two different things, totally two different things. You got to get debt free before you can even start to work on being financially free. So debt free is just eliminating everything that's already piled up, okay, as far as debt is concerned. And financial freedom is pulling down from the resources that you already saved or you put aside, okay? And it's more about working because you choose to and not because you have to.
Yeah,
That's what it's all about.
yeah, what a good thing that is, hey, to do that, you know.
Absolutely. I mean, it
Yeah,
is awesome, awesome,
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
So,
And I think too, I was just going to say that it's also important, like you were saying, you have to have a reason, but I think you also have to have that, like I know I've said it before, that mindset shift. And just going back from my own history, you know, my husband and I had a business in Queensland here, and we had a manager in, and it went pear shaped, and basically we had to close the business, and were owing like six figures, and it was like huge. And I can
mhm,
remember that we couldn't buy it. We couldn't buy a house in Canberra. We moved to Canberra. We had to rent. We had a building up here, but we couldn't buy, you know. And and I felt like I was just, oh, woe is me, poor me, oh dear, you know. And I lay there one day, and it was just, I lay in bed one day, and I went, I am not a victim anymore. I am not a victim. I'm not taking this. Like,
yeah,
and I literally had that shift. And from that moment, you know, we put a chart up. We had a figure that we needed to create to build a deposit on the house, and we put a chart on the fridge, you know, and every time we saved, we kept filling the thermometer up, you know what I mean? Like, so until we got to where we wanted to go, and then the rest is history. So it's huge, isn't it? Using little tips like you've been giving, little techniques, can really make a massive difference.
it
Yeah.
can. I realize that people that have a family, they actually really need to sit down with the family. And sometimes the family doesn't want to give up the things that they have. I believe in saving now in order to live within the future, you know. So, one of my main things was, a part of my story was is that I didn't want to lose the lifestyle that I loved living.
Yes.
And in order to do that, I knew as I got older and I got to a point where I was going to retire, that I had to have some finances set aside in order to make that happen. When I would go to Walmart and I would see some of the older people there working, I always wondered if they were there working because they just wanted something to do to get out of the house, or if it was really necessary because they had never bothered to set money aside where they could actually live without having to go back to work. And I didn't want that. I didn't want that in my life at all. So I decided that I would make a sacrifice. A lot of people I know have a scarcity mind, that they shouldn't have a lot of money, or only rich people have money, and I'm not worthy to have that kind of money. But when you can shut it down, all of the things that you've learned over the years that don't really serve you, and you can come up with an abundant mindset, then you see that, hey, look, you know what? There is enough now for me to be able to put something aside for the future, and I can still live, I can still enjoy. I learned how to do things and go places, enjoy myself without spending money. Do you know there are places out there that you can go and enjoy yourself and you don't have to spend any money to go there? Pack a lunch, as my girlfriend calls it, my Saturday outing, and pack a lunch, pack your water, whatever you're going to take, and just go and just enjoy yourself. Or like now, we before the pandemic hit, we on Tuesdays we would get up and we go to the show. And you know, I mean, we could watch everything on TV, but it's just the idea of getting up and getting out. Okay. And I had coupons, she would have coupons for popcorn and stuff. We're just enjoying ourselves without having to spend a lot of money. Therefore, when the time comes that you want to spend money on something,
Yeah.
it's available, you know?
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, I remember we used to play little games, you know, where could we go that wasn't going to cost a lot of money? What could we do, you know, to get past that situation that we were in at the time? And yeah, I think that's it. It's you got to make it fun too. You don't want to be feeling, you want to see the results, and you don't want to be feeling like you're being deprived. So you have
Right.
to make it fun. Find fun things that you can do, like you said.
Absolutely. I know one of the things that we started doing for Christmas and I implemented it was I would have everybody to write on a sheet of paper 2 or 3 things that they wanted for Christmas, but they were things that they knew they needed that they hadn't bought themselves. And like maybe, we walk around with a pair of raggedy house shoes and we're walking around on the back of them. They're really comfortable. We should buy some more, but we just never put any effort or time into making it happen. Or like my baby brothers always ask me, hey sis, you got any white socks? You got any white socks I can wear? Just basic things like that, or a raggedy, comfortable t-shirt that you wear all the time. There's nothing wrong with getting another big, good looking t-shirt, and most of the time you can do all of that for little or nothing. So we would take that, throw it in a hat, okay? Now, and then each one of us would take a pick out of the hat. And so I didn't buy gifts for everybody. I only bought gifts for whoever name I pulled out of the hat. And you spent under $25 for that Christmas gift. If you want to spend more, it was totally up to you, but you didn't have to. And do you know that they're happy? Like this past Christmas, I've got 3 boys, and I've got 3 spiritual sons as well. So I've got 6 of them. So I was watching HSN, and they had popcorn poppers, and it was 3 for $25. So I bought 6 of them, okay? All of them were different colors. And then I bought the container of popcorn for them. And I put one in each one of the popcorn poppers for them. And they were just elated. They were happy, okay? Because it was something that they wanted, something they wanted to use. It came with a recipe book to make all different types of popcorn and everything. So they, on and off, they tell me, oh, you know what? Hey, mom, I made this, I made some chocolate covered popcorn with marshmallows. And I was like, oh, wow. I don't want it, but okay. So there's always something that you can do. So going back to the Ziploc bags and things that we use to write, you don't have to buy a lot of folders. You can go to the dollar store and spend $3 for a quart-size Ziploc, gallon Ziploc, and a 2-gallon Ziploc, and you've got a folder in order to keep all of your bills and things in that you want. And you can set that bag inside of the closet or in a drawer or what have you, But the main thing is to go back, restudy each month, see where you can cut back and save money. I always say that when we deal with contracts, don't let people talk you into signing up for a contract for more than a year. A year to me is still too much, but 2-year, 3-year contracts is crazy, because somewhere between the 2 and 3 years, somebody else is going to have a better deal.
Yeah.
That you can get into. But now you're locked into this contract and you can't get out of it. So don't let people talk you into that, So outside of that, then looking at everything at the end of the year, when you get to the end of the year, you have to organize. You gotta organize all. I segment my bills and things, what I have for the house, for the car, my personal life, and I do the same thing as far as bank accounts. I have a savings and a checking that's for the house only.
Yes.
And then I have a checking and savings account for myself. My checking and savings account is at the credit union, okay? So that keeps you from dipping into money that you're setting aside for later on or for emergencies. And I also tell people all the time, when you start saving, work on saving enough money where you have a 6-month emergency fund or a year's emergency fund. So if something happened, just like this COVID dropped in on us, unexpected, and we didn't know, for people that had no savings on the side, okay, they were still looking at going to work, getting a paycheck. And then all of a sudden, a lot of those jobs were gone. So no job, no savings, and you got no idea what to do. But if you got that emergency fund while you're looking for a way out, at least you can keep on living, and you don't have to worry about what to do next. Okay.
Yes, yes. Yeah, absolutely. I like what you said too. And I found giving yourself, it's one of the things I found was giving yourself an allowance. That was, everybody, you and your spouse and whatever. So rather than just going and buying things when you thought about it, it was like, this is how much you have for the month or the week or whatever. And you can do whatever you like with it, which gives you that freedom too, doesn't it? Because, that way you're not feeling guilty when you buy something that you might want.
Absolutely. I'm a giver. So what I do is I pay when my income comes in, I pay my tithes, I pay my offering. Okay.
Yeah.
Then what I do is I know what's gonna go into savings account automatically. So I know the bills have got to be paid. In the beginning, all of the money had to go to the bills until I could figure out how to adjust and reorganize everything. I had to figure out where there was a money drain at, where was all of my money going to, and how could I plug that hole so I could keep some. Now, once I figured that out, then it was over with. I was okay, So unexpected money I seem to have, because now I wasn't drinking coffee. I wasn't buying lunch every day. And usually when you get a mindset that you're going to do something different, you'd be surprised at what would come to you. I found that my son would drop by and bring me lunch unexpectedly. Some of the guys at work would buy me lunch, or a customer would say, hey, you got time? Can you go out to lunch or something like that? So when you're helping yourself and you put it out there in the atmosphere, that, hey, you know what? I'm not going to be caught up with having no money and living from paycheck to paycheck every week, that I'm going to do something different. You'd be surprised at what will come your way. And especially when you start telling other people about it as well. I find that a lot, I had a client that had grown children that they were actually giving money to every month. And I would never tell anybody to stop, but I said, I need you to reevaluate what you're giving them and why you're giving it to them, and is it really necessary? Okay.
Yeah.
I said, and then that may be some money. I talked to a young lady that talked about all of the money that she had loaned out, and she was having a hard time getting it back. They were paying her a little bit here, a little bit there. So I said, well, why don't you sit down and write up a draft that says, for instance, I'm just giving you a scenario, on March the 3rd, whatever, I loaned you $1,000. You committed to pay me back $100 per month, and that doesn't happen. I know that there's probably a problem or what have you. So why don't we cut that amount in half? I say it's better to get something back than to get nothing back at all. Sometimes we have to buy ourselves out of trouble because we have messed up. You know what I'm saying? We never should loan our friends or loan. I tell people, loaning money means you're never going to get it back.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's interesting. Excuse me one sec. I just want to say hi to Suzanne and Patricia, who are actually watching with us right now. So hello. And,
hi, Suzanne. Hi, Patricia.
Yes. So it's good to see you. Good to hear that you They've just made some comments, so that Suzanne was saying wise words and Patricia was like, yes, ladies, woo. So yeah. So, yeah,
Great.
no, that's true, isn't it? That's interesting that what you just said, that you have to buy yourself out.
I mean, you have to make a decision that, okay, if I loan this money out, am I really going to be able to get it back? And then be satisfied with the idea that it's possible that you will not get it back. So if you can get some of it back versus getting all of it back, then that's fine. You know, like I say, sometimes we have to pay for the mistakes that we make, you know. Going out to eat at restaurants or what have you. There are certain restaurants that I like to eat at, so I'm always looking for coupons and things, and asking other people about nice restaurants that don't cost a lot of money. So when I do, I like to go out with my girlfriends every now and then to have lunch or something like that. But I don't want to spend an arm and a leg. So I may go. I love Olive Garden. So I'll go to Olive Garden, and they've always got the 2 for 1. So I can eat, she can eat, and we're not spending a whole lot of money. So I like that. Those are things that I look for.
Yeah. And I think what you just said that's important is that it's about choice. Like what you just said is about choice, you know, like, okay, you could, I mean, I'm sure you could go to a restaurant and pay an arm and a leg, and that's not a problem. But you're choosing not to because you'd rather use your finances in a different way, like to put it towards whatever, you know. So it's we all have choice when we're spending, don't we, as well?
Absolutely, absolutely. The same thing like when it comes to vacations, and there are things that we can do. Most of the time when we're planning a vacation, we always wait till it's almost time to take the vacation before we start looking for where we're gonna go or what we're gonna do. Okay, yeah, I have to admit, you know, but if you're looking on and off all year long, yeah. Now I used to be a travel agent. I was a travel agent for 15 years. So I know that there are some great hotels out there that don't charge a whole lot of money. I was looking yesterday online at vacation spas, and the vacation spas I was looking at, they were recommended by Oprah Winfrey. Well, wait a minute. You know, if I go to the ones that she recommends, okay, I'm gonna have to mortgage the house to go, because the spas that she recommends start at $800 to $1,200 per day. Okay. And that's not including food and transportation. So, you know, I don't need to be like the Joneses. I don't have to be like the Joneses. Okay. So can go and for a weekend, maybe a weekend spa somewhere and close to home.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I think too, like when you are retired or you have that availability that you can go whenever, that's when you can pick up some great deals. I mean, I remember being on a cruise talking to some people who were retired, and there is a site you can go to get last minute cruise options, and they were getting like balcony suites for really like hardly any money at all. And so if you're in that situation where you can just get up and go, you can get some amazing stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah, because there are highs and there are lows seasons for different things. So when I'm looking for things, I always want to know, when is your low season? Okay. What what kind of prices can I get if I come during this particular season or this particular time, you know, and it makes all the difference in the world when it comes to saving money, let me tell you.
Oh, absolutely. So Dorothy, have you got any tips, I'm sure people would like to get in contact with you. So have you got any tips or anything that you can give to people to help them on their journey to financial freedom?
Yeah, I would. One of the things that one of the first tips that I give is to tell people to make sure that they do have the separate banking accounts for the house and for themselves. if they can get a credit union account, go get a credit union account, because credit unions are so much more liberated than banks. They're a lot more easy to deal with than banks are. And just like I went and I borrowed money that I had put in, they can do the same thing. And then also having money from their paycheck, those that are still working, having money from their paycheck go automatically into the account. A young lady, maybe about a couple of years ago, I think when I first started with the financial income, she didn't have any money saved up or anything. She lived in the suburbs and she worked down in downtown Chicago. So we got her started with a credit union account. By the time, this was like in November, so by the time February came, her car broke down. So she had a daughter that she was taking to school and picking up and going back and forth to work. She had taken her car to have it worked on, and the dealerships were telling her like it was going to cost her like $1,500 to $2,500 to do the work. So I suggested my mechanic. I always suggest him because he loves helping people. And she took her car in and he charged her $475. So
Wow.
so here's the thing. She had the $475 in the bank because she had been saving at the credit union. Okay.
Yeah,
So those are things that it just really just makes sense for people to do, and to sit down and write down all of the bills that you have, all of the spending that you're doing, and figure out what you can alleviate from that list that's not so important, so that you can save some extra money.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Dorothy. Thank you so much for sharing with us today. You've got a free gift to give to everyone.
I do. I shared a link with you, and in that link, there is a financial checklist that they can go down the checklist to kind of help them to figure out their finances. It'll ask them some questions, some yes and no questions that they can answer. It's really helpful. Then there's 5 financial sheets that are in there. So they don't have to get a sheet of paper. So there's a budget sheet in there. There is a financial wellness sheet in there. There's a things to do sheet. So there's 5 different financial sheets in that packet that they can actually utilize. And you'll be surprised when you start using it, exactly what you will find. I don't care how good you think you are with your finances. When you start putting it on paper, it makes all the difference in the world.
Absolutely.
And I'm not really sure what else is in that packet. I think it was 3 things. I'm not sure what else is in that packet.
That's all right. It'd be like a lucky dip for people when they get it. So thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it. And I'll talk to you again really soon. Thank you to everybody who watched us online. So thank you so much. And
thank you for having me.
Yeah, I look forward to talking to you again sometime soon. Thanks, Dorothy.
You're so welcome. Thank you again.